Manikam Tagore ji.
Sir, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on the discussion on the Water Prevention and Control Amendment Bill 2024. I stand here to raise my concerns regarding the bill and amend one of the very core environmental acts of this country, which is the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. The intent of this government is to bring this bill is very clear: decriminalize and let go the violators that pollute the water resources of country. This is a bill against the children of our country. This is bill against the culture of India itself, where we worship the environment as God. This bill is against the federal nature of this country itself. Sir, it has not been long since the government passed the Jan Vishwas bill, which contained similar provisions that decriminalized violations of the Act of Governing Air Pollution. We know that Delhi, how air pollution is a bigger issue. I doubt that the government is proposing to do in the name of ease of doing business the same thing. I vehemently stand today to warn the union government that the opportunity cost of passing this bill is the access of our future generations of a pollution-free, disease-free life. When the recent laws being introduced and passed by the government, it is evident that the government has no respect for the environment of this country. Therefore, I may take this moment to remind this government of the Subhash Kumar versus State of Bihar case in 1991. The Supreme Court in this case has strongly ruled out that the right to pollution-free water and air is a fundamental right under Article 27. Subsequently, the right of the pollution-free environment was incorporated in the Constitution's right to life, and all the law courts within the Indian Union territory were bound to follow the same. I am surprised that the government has no regard for this verdict. Sir, I would like to bring out that this Water and Prevention Control of Pollution Amendment Bill 2024 is just another attempt to align the 1974 Water Act with the current anarchist policies of the government. That is, to disarm the state governments, to bring everything under the central government's control, under the control of Delhi. Now the new bill is aimed at shifting the powers of the state governments to the central government regarding the constitution of the SPCBs. Let me explain that this power, in terms of appointment of the chairmen of SPCBs, terms and conditions of the service of SPCBs, chairman and appointment of adjudicating officers who will be now vested with the central government. The major issue of this shift is that central government, the elected central governments, will be losing its authority over critical decisions that impact the functionability of this bill itself. Further, the bill has been amended Section 27 of the Principal Act to insert provisions that give the union government an ultimate power to issue guidelines regarding matters relating to grants, refusal, or cancellation of consent by any state board for the establishment of any industry, its operation, processes, and treatment and disposal systems. It is also mentioned in the bill that every state government should act accordingly to orders, guidelines issued by the central government. This is a clear move to overpower the decisions of the state governments. The proposed bill grants the central government the authority to exempt certain industry categories from the obligatory need to obtain consent to the discharging of industrial waste into the water bodies. This highlights concern that the current government, of its own interest, might enable influential industries in polluting water bodies, similar to the perceived empowerment of individuals like the Adani Group, who are accused of exploiting people and resources for personal gain. Further, granting certain industries exemptions for the central government to release industrial waste into water bodies raise growing environmental concerns. With minimal oversight and these exemptions, the unrestricted discharge of industrial waste poses a significant risk of water contamination in lakes, rivers, and groundwater. This would eventually render the water unsafe for the surrounding communities, pose threats to the nearby forest cover and wildlife dependent on these water bodies. Sir, one of the major concerns of the bill poses is the omission of the imprisonment of repeated offenders under the Section 24, Section 25 or Section 27, which previously ranged from 2 to 7 years imprisonment. This removal raises concern that the effectiveness of the state-level deterrence against the industrial pollution and provides big leeway for repeated offenders. In the earlier draft of the Act, imprisonment of the repeated offenders served as a stringent consequences for violating environmental laws, compelling industries to take compliance seriously. With the current absence of such stringent punishment, there is a risk of diminished accountability, allowing offenders to potentially evade significantly by merely paying substantial fines. I am surprised that the government has decriminalized serious offenders, such as failure to comply with such orders by a state board or courts on emergency measures in a case of pollution or steam or well. Also, offences such as failure to intimate of the occurrence of any incidents or any other unforeseen events and damages caused by any work or property belonging to the pollution control boards, which are grave in nature, have been replaced with penalties. It means that those who have money can get away with the consequences. In the name of building a spirit of ease of living and ease of doing business, the government is surrendering the shield against environment pollution. The state of objects and reasons of the bill states that I quote, that the cornerstone of the democratic governance lies in the government trusting in its own people and institutions. But the decriminalization of serious offences in the bill suggests otherwise. That is, the government is trusting the country's environment with their business friends. We all know how strong Modi ji's friendship with the crony capitalists exists. The current government often highlights the Namami Gange initiative as one of its initial commitments, with Prime Minister Modi expressing personal duty to serve Ma Ganga by aiming to clean the scarred river. Unfortunately, it appears that these efforts have fallen short, and the condition of Ganga remains cause of concern. Despite promises, Ganga stands as one of the world's polluted rivers, with approximately 80% of the pollutants originating from the untreated industrial and household effluents. According to the CPCBC, a mere 37 out of 222 monitoring sites among the Ganga boast water suitable for bathing. Is this how these depictive promises made to the citizens of the country work? It is noteworthy that despite consistent expressions of the concern by the Supreme Court and the Delhi High Court and the National Green Tribunal regarding the environmental issues in the National Capital Region, including the state of Yamuna River, air pollution and waste management, only one conviction under the Water Prevention and Control Act 1974 took place in 2017. The limited number of convictions suggests that the fear of criminal prosecution is not serving in a sufficient deterrent. Given the highlighted concerns in the draft bill, it appears that intended purpose of the amendment may not be fulfilled. But the need of the offer is to evaluate an existing structure and institutionalize the capabilities of CPCBs rather than diluting the battle against pollution itself. Also, the government should note that merely increasing the centre's power with CPCBs is not the right path and will not render effective without addressing the basic problem. That is, without enhancing its institutional capacity and components to exercise these powers. No amendments in the bill will prove effective. Therefore, I end with my speech suggesting that the government focus on addressing the shortcomings in the existing regulatory institutions instead of constantly coming up with new hollow laws that detail the entire governance structure. Thank you, sir.